Hey there guys, it's Rick here with AirgunWeb, where we tell you the facts, not fluff. And we're going to be unboxing one of my favorite airguns of all time. This was sent to us by Gamo USA actually. And this is the Gamo CFX, and it's exclusive on the website, so if you like it, definitely look it up. So what is the Gamo CFX, and why is it different, and why is it one of my favorite airguns? Couple things. One, it's a Springer. So guys, this is not a gas ram. This is just a traditional old school Springer. The other thing is that it has a fixed barrel. So where you have normally a brake barrel to cock the gun, this is a fixed barrel and it has an underlever cocking system. So you have a bar underneath that cocks the gun, the barrel never moves. So you have the potential of greater long-term accuracy because there's no barrel joint to ever wear out. That's pretty cool. Now, I just had a trip, or just came back from a trip, where I got to take this out and do some iguana hunting, and it did not disappoint. It delivered plenty of power, it delivered plenty of accuracy, and it delivered plenty of kills. This thing is just sweet, and I enjoyed every minute I had with it. I had the options to shoot the Magnums, the Swarms, and don't get me wrong, the idea of having a 10-shot magazine on tap with a Swarm, come on, I mean, that is awesome. But to go like old school, back to the fixed barrel and single shot, boy, you talk about being at somewhat, sorry, big drop there. You talk about being somewhat at a disadvantage when you got other guys with their Swarm systems able to crank off round after round after round after round, and I'm still trying to, it's really probably better for the bench or more deliberate pesting than it is for fast-paced squirrel or iguana. But nonetheless, I had a good time and the gun delivered. I want to talk about some of the features today. And then we've just recently unboxed, see if I get this, trying to not bust the plastic up. We recently unboxed some steel targets that Gamo has. And, you know, we're going to say it a lot this year, but, you know, airguns are about having fun. For me, they're about having fun and getting back in the backyard, being able to shoot anytime you want, as long as it's legal and safe. Be able to get back there and pull the trigger. Man, that to me is just a ton of fun. And steel targets, you know, paper's great, but steel targets give you something, I don't know, reactive to shoot at. You know, you're actually getting something going on. I think that's pretty cool. So this gun, I think, really fits that, that whole picture perfectly. So this is going to be probably, we haven't even put over the chrony, so our next video will be to take it down the range and actually get the scope sighted in, try a couple pellets, get some basic velocities. I'm guessing we're looking at 14, 15 foot-pounds. It may do a little more, I don't know, but that's what I'm guessing. I guess we're going to find out. So a couple features about the gun. It is synthetic stock, obviously. This is all steel, all right? So we've got, well, metal, right? Some of this is aluminum. But we have an all-metal receiver. We have a nice synthetic stock. The cheek piece is really good because it's going to let you line up with your open sights, and this has really good open sights. If you like fine fiber optic sights with micro-click adjustments, yeah, you're going to like what this gun brings to the table. It does ship with a scope, and it's not Gamo's typical 3 to 9 by 40. This is actually a little bit smaller. So this is a 4 by 32. This is what I was running down in Florida with the iguanas, and because all of my shots were really, what were they? Oh, we took some further shots, but you know, that was holdover and hope more than it was anything else. But I'm thinking 20 yards, really, you know, this is really ideal. The scope works just fine for that. Big, the 4 power gives you a real wide field of view, so if you're hunting, like particularly like squirrel or something that's fast moving, you get quick target acquisition with this, and you can stay on target, which is kind of cool. I do believe this is going to use, yeah, they like using torque wrenches. So let's get our little tool out here. Okay. All right, I'm trying a new camera today, by the way, guys. I did a behind the scenes. If you guys want to check out some of the behind the scenes stuff, well, you can do so. You just join our Patreon page or join the Officers Club over at AirgunArmy.com, And we have a bunch of really cool behind the scenes footage if you guys want to take a look at it. But I just did a video, a behind the scenes video, talking about some of the different camera gear. And I shot that video with this particular camera. Now this is, I don't know, almost kind of funny because this is just a little Osmo. It's a little, if you guys see its movements, follow me. I don't know if you guys like that or hate it. I'm just trying something new. But it lets me get a real nice wide field of view here in the studio, even though it's really close to the table, which is good because when I go to do my shorts, my YouTube shorts, and my reels and all that other stuff, I can just use this camera. It works really slick. All right, anyway, so let me know if you like it. And I'm using the mic that it comes with. It's pretty cool. They have a new version out that as soon as I see it come available at Best Buy, I'm probably going to upgrade it because it's got some really neat new features. All right, so I'm going to try and keep an eye on this because it's supposed to be tracking me. And I don't want to have it lose that track because then ruin my footage. This opened up a little bit. So when you're mounting the scope, I haven't even talked about what we're doing here, but when you're mounting the scope, there's a little hole back here. You can probably see it from the camera. There's a little hole here. There's a pin. You want to line that pin up with this hole. That saves the scope from moving around because you can tighten these down super hard, but because of the recoil, and that's reverse recoil, we'll talk a little bit about that in a second, it'll tend to want to push the scope off the back of the rifle. So by having this little stop pin, it locks in. Is that on? Let me give that a few tighten turns here. You know what I'm going to do? Make life easier. Let me do this. Looky there. That's what's called using your. Oh! Oh! Do not throw the scope. This is. Yeah, that works a lot easier when I can see what I'm doing. Let's get that locked down here. We're torture testing. That's what we're doing. We're making sure that it works. Okay. Yep. Okay, a couple things about this gun I'll tell you while I'm getting this tightened down to the receiver here. It has a little bit shorter pull, so I find the scope far more comfortable. I've struggled with some of the other Gamo guns. The scope, I can't get back far enough for me to be comfortable. But this has a little bit shorter pull. We looked at this, well, actually, when we were down there, because I was talking to Gamo reps about this very issue. And this gun lines up great. It's really, really nice. And the scope lines up nicely. And I have great eye relief just right out of the box. So that worked good. Plus, with this scope, you actually have quite a bit of movement. So even if I needed to come back further, I can move it if I need to. The trigger on this is your standard Gamo trigger. It is not the custom action trigger, etc., which is fine because it's a smooth trigger. It's got the same pull and it has the same lack of adjustment on the second stage. You just don't have a first stage adjustment, which again is, in my books, I call that the NBD factor, which is no big deal factor. Okay, let's see if this is straight. It is close enough. On the receiver is actually pretty straight. All right, so yeah, okay, so if I block my face like this, we'll lose tracking. We don't want to do that. So anyway, it's pretty straight. I'm just going to tighten up these are actually pretty good. Now when we get down the range and actually sight the scope, if we need to make adjustments, we'll make them there. No point in doing it here. The way I do it, and I'm not saying, I'm definitely not saying it's the best way in the sense of the most accurate way, because it just isn't. But I look at the crosshair, and I look at the receiver. I tend to cant my gun anyway, so if I just look at, do they look straight, and I don't reference a point on the gun, my scopes are always crooked. So what I try and do is get the gun as straight as I think it is, and then I look at my crosshair, my vertical, and I look at the receiver. I can see the receiver here, and I try and make sure I'm splitting the receiver like dead in half. And I can usually tell if I'm canted one way or the other. I can usually tell that just by looking at it. Say, I think I'm straight, but I'm not straight on the receiver, and then I know, okay, I'm not straight. So by the time I adjust it and get it basically centered, I pull the gun up, I can actually see, okay, now I'm centered. So that's how I do it. You can do it, use a plumb line. There's something from Real Avid that'll help you do it. Lots of tools to help you get perfectly centered, but you can chase your tail too. We're shooting 20, 25 yards with this gun. So trying to get like, oh, I'm gonna shoot a mile with it and I must be like to the thousandths accurate. Well, you're kind of, you can do it. I'm not saying if you do that, it's not worth doing. It's just not worth it for me to do that. I get close enough, I'm happy with it, especially when I get the results that I usually get on target. I'm pleased. So if I'm shooting a high-end gun and I am going to stretch it like I know I'm shooting at 25 yards out to 150 yards, well, then all of a sudden, then I got to take more effort to make sure we're dead square on that, so that as we change our elevation, as you're doing your holdover, if you're using holdover and your scope's canted, well, then that throws your shot off, right? So that's why it's so important to get it straight. Anyway, so we're going to use this. We'll make sure it's super right when we get down to the range. Okay, so how does the gun work to cock it, right? We have this, what's called a rotating breech, which is kind of cool. It also makes it super slow when you're trying to reload it. Make sure our safety's on. But yeah, this is the cocking lever. So you pull down on that little tabby, and then now you'll pull this down and cock the gun. Not going to do it in here. And then that relieves pressure on the rotating breech, which you simply rotate over, load your pellet, close it, return your cocking lever, and now you're good to fire. And you have to do that in between every shot. And that was, some folks, that was their biggest drawback. But for me, and the kind of shooting I like to do, which is, super deliberate, just relaxing. I like to slow everything down and just take one deliberate shot. This really slows that whole process down. It's one of the reasons I like this gun so much. One is the inherent accuracy because of the fixed barrel. The other is just the process. I enjoy it. It may not be your thing, but I really enjoy it. And it has always paid off well for me in the end because, I don't know, it's just enjoyable. And I just like that single shot, cock it, load it, take another shot, boom. Out running and gunning, hunting. Okay, it was a bit of a challenge, and I was saying, I wonder if they can fit a swarm to this somehow. But I still was very effective and killed a whole bunch of iguanas right along with the rest of them, even though I had to be far more precise and more accurate because I knew every shot had to count. And I think that's what I really like about this system, is because it teaches you, trains you that every shot has to count with this. And I really like that function of the gun. So this is the Gamo CFX. We're going to be doing, again, we'll do our the rest. We got a whole series on all of the guns we've unboxed, and we have one more to go. So we're not done yet. But yeah, this is pretty cool stuff. I cannot wait to get it down to the range. One of the things I'll mention, because I know people get on my case, why don't you clean the barrel right away? Because I want to shoot it out of the box. All of the guns that come from the exclusive, especially when they're coming from Europe, they tend to have oil and different things in the barrels. Or I don't know, maybe they're preserved because of the shipping and because they're a lower run, they have more time on ship, or I don't know. All I know is that those guns I have found really benefit from right out of the gate doing some cleaning. So first thing we'll do when we get down there is run our patchworm through it, get it as clean as we can, and then we'll start taking some shots because I know these guns actually like that. And when I know that, I have no problems doing it. So that's going to be it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed our unboxings and our kind of discussing the products before we get started. If you have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. But definitely stay tuned to the channel because we will be running this and all of our other cool guns that we got from Gamo and I have unboxed and have yet more to unbox. We'll be running those through the paces here shortly as we get into Q1 here 2024. So I'm super excited about that. But that's going to be it. My name's Rick User here with AirgunWeb, where we tell you the facts, not fluff. And thank you so much for watching. See ya.